Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we are going to be ranking the best Opal cards, actually every single Galaxy Opal card in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM from worst to best. So there are 32 Opals that have been dropped in packs and as rewards this year in MyTEAM, with the potential for sure of a lot more coming here in the near future. But these are all the ones that are currently available in MyTEAM, non-hidden gems, all that stuff. So before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 40,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I am uploading every single day, multiple videos a day. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. Without further ado, let's hop right into it and let's rank these Galaxy Opal cards. So we'll start with Oscar Robertson, who I think, he's super complete badge-wise. He gets every single badge in the game, and I honestly think defensively he's solid. Slashing-wise, 80 driving dunk is probably the biggest criticism. But like looking at the Opal's point guards, I actually think a lot of the Opal point guards are a little overrated. And Oscar to me is a pretty consensus top 4-ish point guard in my team. Like to me anyway, he's not the best point guard in the game, but he's not super far off. I think you could make the argument S tier if you wanted to. Because of the lack of elite slashing, I'm going to go A tier personally, but I would have no issues if you wanted to put him even higher than that, to be totally honest. So big fan of the Big O, and I think he's definitely A tier. Now, Ben Wallace. Jumper and size is my biggest criticism. Not even jumper. His jumper's good. It's the height. He's 6'9", and he's got like a 70-something three ball, pretty low three ball rating. Again, if you're looking for things to criticize, that would be the thing with Ben Wallace. Is he a perfect card? No. Is he a very solid card? Absolutely. I have no issues whatsoever with putting Ben Wallace as like, I think B tier is probably right because he's a little undersized. His three ball rating isn't super high, but I do think he's a solid card. Like I have no issues with him being, you could argue A tier, I think, if you wanted to, basically, but I'm going to go B. I think that's the fairest spot for Big Ben right now. Next we got Russell Westbrook. Honestly, my problem with Russ is that he just, I don't know, man. He just doesn't have the top tier shot making ability. His shot's hard to rhythm shoot with. He's kind of undersized. His release is honestly just kind of mediocre, whether you're thinking, whether you're talking about the rhythm shooting or not. Like maybe I'm being overly critical, but to me anyway, I think he probably has to go. Yeah, I think he's probably going to go C tier. I think that's the fairest spot for Russ. Kawhi Leonard, I think goes S tier. I'm not 100% sure. That one's another one where it's like, I feel like you could argue A if you wanted to, but he's got enough movement at the shooting guard position. I like his jumper. He's like the 3rd best shooting guard in my team. Well, maybe 4th best shooting guard in the game, but the other 3, one of them is on this list. The other 2 are pink diamonds. So to me anyway, again, feel like probably the right spot for him is S tier. Really good defender. Obviously we know Kawhi's incredible defensively, but as a whole, I like the card. I think he's super solid. Jerry West. Defensively, he's great. He's got a good behind the back. His jumper's not that bad. His upper's better than I thought it was. I learned that with Adam Morrison. Honestly, I think he's better than Russ. I know he's not the slasher Russ is, but I think overall he's got better movement and a better, probably a better jumper as well. I think I'd go B tier for Jerry West. Not a bad card, but I wouldn't go higher than B, I don't think. Sidney Moncrief, defensively, he's great. He's got a very smooth jumper. He's a really good slasher. Like, there's a lot to like about Sidney Moncrief as a card, but his 3-ball rating's a little low. That's the thing to me that keeps him out of the S tier. If he had a really good 3-ball rating, I think I'd probably argue him S tier, but for now, I think I'm going to go A. Dwight Howard is legitimately one of the fastest and most versatile defensive cards in all of my team. So just for that, to me anyway, I feel like he's A tier because he does have really, really good release, really good animations across the board. Like, just wish that his defense animations especially, wish his jumper was better though. I will say it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. I think it's actually pretty decent, but I do think it could also certainly be better. So to me anyway, I'm going to go with D12 in the A tier instead of the S tier. Dennis Rodman, exceptional defensively. Jumper is not great though. He's got that Ewing base, which I generally don't think is all that good, but I mean, he gets the job done for sure. He's not bad. I think B tier, he's really good defensively. I mean, he's like a borderline top 10 small forward. I don't mind him. He's so solid card. Ewing's jumper is trash. I gotta have some D tier guys. Is Ewing D tier? Nah, I don't think Ewing's D tier. There's a couple guys on here. I might only have like four or so D tier guys. I don't think Ewing, his jumper really stinks. Like, it's not good. His upper's bad too. But I still think, me personally, I probably give him, I think C tier. He's good enough. He's not good by any means. He's certainly not great, but I think he's good enough to where if you want to put him in the B tier or in the C tier, I think that's fair. He's good defensively. He's got great speed. His stats and badges are great. Really, The only serious flaw with this card is that he does have a pretty darn bad jump shot. David Robinson, I think you got to go S. He's the third best center in the game, in my opinion. I think he's the best Opal center. I mean, he really, really great level 40, like legitimately. One of the best level 40 cards we've ever seen in the history of my team. So great card. And to me, yeah, I think D-Rob's S tier for sure. He's one of the best level 40 cards we've seen in a long time in my team, and he's the best Opal center in the game. That's an S tier card. Donovan Mitchell, I'm sorry, you are too darn small, and his movement really isn't great either. The main things to like about D Mitch is just the fact that he has a smooth jumper and he's a great slasher, but he doesn't have top tier movement, and it doesn't really, in my opinion, do a ton of other things great either. He's one of those cards that like you look at and you go, his stats and badges are good, but he's undersized and his jumper's not great. And it's just, I mean, his jumper's good. His movement isn't great. I don't know. His jumper's not insane. If he had like one of the best jumpers in the game, maybe. But for me, I think you got to go D. I don't know. A tier for Sean Marion, in my opinion, is better than Dennis Rodman, and I put Rodman in B. So I'll put Marion in A. Better jump shot, still really good defensively. Nice complete stats. Really much higher level shooter in general because he's got a better jumper, faster jumper. And he also is, I think, more complete the badge-wise for sure. Better 3-ball rating as well. So definitely A tier for Marion. Giannis obviously is S, top 2 small forward in the game. Amazing defensively. Great size, super switchable, super versatile, elite card. Bob Pettit, great shooter. Not a ton else that he does amazingly well, but he's good enough defensively and athletically and things of that nature to where I don't really hate putting him in the B tier. I think that's a solid spot for him. I think that's fair. I think AD is, I'm going to go A tier for, I might go S tier for AD. Is there a power forward on this list better than him? I mean, besides Giannis, maybe? No, I don't think so. I think I'm going S tier for AD. Looking at the rest of the Opal power forward type options, I think AD is the best of the group. You could argue Giannis is better than him, but I have Giannis more so thought of as a small forward in my personal opinion. So to me, I think I'm actually going to go, I think I'm going to go S tier for AD. I think that's the right spot for him. His jumper's nice. He defends well. He does a lot of things well. Like, I have no issues with him as an S tier card. LeBron obviously is S tier. Like, that one's a no-brainer. He's one of the best cards in my team. His jumper's elite. He does everything well. Like, he's one of those cards you just look at and you go, what does LeBron not do well? And the answer is really nothing. The only criticism I have of the card is the fact that his dribble style isn't top tier, but that's about it. Like, he's a great card. I'm going Joe Johnson in C tier. Jumper's a little baited and his movement isn't great, but the jumper just isn't all that good. And at the shooting guard position, it's one of the most important things in my opinion is that you have an elite level jump shot. He does not have that. To me, Joe Johnson has to go in that C tier. Jalen Brunson, I'm sorry, not an elite enough slasher, and he's super undersized. I know he's not an awful card, but I think I got to go D tier. We got to have some of them on this list. He's one of the better short point guards on this list. There's a couple guys on here that I think are worse. You know what? I got 2 other point guards I can put on here below Jalen Brunson. I'm actually going to go C tier for him. I actually like Brunson. His jumper's great. He moves pretty good. I kind of like the card. I don't think he's that bad. I think Steph is worse. Steph overall to me, he's got the Steph escape, but outside of that, don't think he actually moves quite as well as Brunson does because Brunson's escape isn't quite as good, but he's got a better drag back. Overall, I think he's a little more complete, a little more versatile. I like Brunson a little more than Steph personally. Give Brunson C tier, put Steph in D tier. Bernard King is obviously S tier. He's one of the best cards in the game. Best Opal shooting guard for sure. I think he's a better version. Honestly, he's pretty close to Julius Erving. He's right up there with the best cards in my team at his position. Definitely S tier for sure. I think he's great. Jaylen Brown, terrible jump shot, like terrible. Joe Johnson's jumper isn't great. Jaylen Brown's jumper is awful. I understand he's got great stats and badges. His jumper is trash at a position where it's very important to have an elite jump shot. I think he's D tier, legitimately. Anthony Edwards, I'm going C tier. He's undersized, not incredible defensively, and his jumper isn't great either. Honestly, if you wanted to argue him D tier as well, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think a lot of people would be mad at me for saying that, but his jumper stinks. He's undersized. He's just not that good, to be totally honest. Penny Hardaway, best Opal point guard, actually best point guard in the game, period, not just Opal. Definitely S tier as well. Really, really good card. Distinctly S tier, 100%. I don't think there's really much debating that for Penny Hardaway. DeMar DeRozan doesn't have great movement, doesn't have a great jumper, doesn't have a super high 3-ball. I think he's better than Ant. I'm putting Ant in D tier. I'm sorry, y'all can be mad at me if you want. I'm putting Ant in D tier because I think DeMar's slightly better than Jaylen Brown and Ant. He's still not great. He's still C tier, but I don't think he's D tier. I think I'm going to go Ant and JB as the 2 D tier shooting guards. Chris Webber, decent jumper, good size, nice statistical versatility, not a bad card. I think he's solid. I have no issues with him in B tier. Like, not a bad option at all. Ray Allen, meh. I don't know. C. Jumper could be, jumper's not bad, but that's the best part about the card. He doesn't really have great shot creation. He's only 6'5". His defense isn't like amazing. I think C tier. I think that's what we're going to go with Ray Allen. J.R. Smith, another guy whose jumper's kind of baited, doesn't have great movement, not amazing defensively. He's one of those cards that got, I think, not just overlooked, but just like almost inconsequential in a lot of ways, the shooting guard position. He never was a card that people talked about when he came out. I don't think he's one of those guys that by any means is a must-need card or anything like that. I think even at his best, he was probably C tier. At this point, with how many good cards we have at these positions, I think you got to go D tier, in my personal opinion anyway. So I think that's where we're going to slot Mr. JR is in that D tier. Next, we have Derrick Rose. Also got to go D tier. I'm sorry. His jumper's baited and he's undersized. That's enough for me. Like, I don't hate the card, but his jumper's baited and he's undersized. I think he's D tier. It just feels like the right spot for him. Kareem, I'm actually not going S tier with him because his jumper's mid. His jumper's not great and he's got that low 3-ball. Overall, he's not an awful card, but his jumper is kind of baited and he could be better. Like, certainly 100% could be a better card than he is. Is he bad? No. Is he great? At everything except for shooting, yes. But I still think you got to go A tier with him. Clyde Drexler, very, very solid card. I'm going to go... I'll go A tier for Clyde. I feel like maybe Joe Johnson moves up a little bit. Just I don't know, man. This feels like a tough list. Like, Ray Allen moves. I think I like this the way it is. Clyde Drexler, you're going to go A tier. He is definitely noticeably better than Ray Allen, Joe Johnson, DeMar. Like, it's not even close. I don't mind a 2-tier difference between those guys. I don't know if we need any B tier shooting guards, to be totally honest. And then obviously Jason Tatum. He's not on the level of Bron and Giannis at the small forward position. Very good card though. We'll definitely go A. He's a top 5-ish small forward in my team. I have no problems with him at all at that small forward position. But I do think, again, if you wanted to criticize anything, you could definitely criticize the lack of movement with JT, but very solid card as well. And then finally, Vince Carter, also going to go A tier. If Clyde Drexler's A tier, Vince Carter has to be A tier as well. Leads to a slightly smaller B tier than I think y'all would probably want generally, but you know what? At the end of the day, it kind of is what it is. And it's my ranking. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below of the way I ranked this list. Smaller B tier, yeah, but I just think there's a decent gap. There's a lot of like small forwards that are not small forwards, just opals in general that are just not that great. So leads to some interesting lists for sure. But with that being said, that is going to do it for this video. Hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.